Call of Duty. What makes that community so special?
Well, it's big, right? There's a lot of them, and they're vocal, and they're young, and it's kind of an everyman's game. A lot of the games that we operate have barriers to entry around skill gap and just accessibility, like Dota or League of Legends, are very big games by their own right, but there's challenges for some people, right? Call of Duty is one of those phenomena where on the console market, which is a big focus for us, as you know, it's wildfire, right? Every year it's going to be big, and every year that's going to have its detractors because it's such a massive franchise, but every year it's going to have a huge install base to work with. What we've finally gotten to is a position where there's been enough formalization around the competitive scene that you have personalities developing and team brands developing, very similar to what we've seen in games like Counter-Strike, for example, or back when we did Halo all the time, League of Legends or Dota. So you've got these familiar faces where people are attached to them for a season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons. There's an ebb and a flow to it. It's predictable. And so that just helps, right? That just gives you more attach points and more moments to create stories and more moments for events like this to happen. I think every game community is special, honestly. It's just, with this, it's very accessible, right? So it starts very young. You've got 10, 11, 12-year-old kids who are playing it, even though they're not supposed to, maybe, and it goes all the way up to people like me, who a little older, playing with, my kids and my friends. So that's one thing about it that's very special, is that it is accessible and open. And honestly, I think that both Activision and Microsoft have, in the last year and a half or so, I would say, really taken a look at supporting that community, looking at the traditional esports titles, like a Quake even. I've had conversations with them about Quake, about Counter-Strike, about League of Legends, Dota, StarCraft, and seeing what they can learn and how they can leverage that and apply that to what they're trying to do.
Do you think it's a strength or not a strength that there's an annual release cycle for a new game?
The annual release cycle thing is a challenge, right? I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's because, especially when you have multiple developers in play, and the schedules are, your window is shortened, obviously. But for us, what we've realized is, if we have someone who wants to work with us, we have someone who wants to embrace this and invest back into it, we have to work with that, right? So some people do it differently, right? Valve does it differently than Blizzard, does it differently than Riot, does it differently than Activision, right? So it has a unique set of challenges, right? But those challenges are not that much harder to deal with than, let's say, a game that's 5, 6, 7 years old, right? It's just, those challenges have to be addressed in different ways. You have to understand that at the end of the day, and a lot of people in our scene don't like this word, but it's a business, right? And so if there's a business reason for these people to be involved in esports and support it, and the community recognizes that they can get more support by being receptive, even if it's not perfect, because it's never ever perfect at first, then we have the opportunity to build and build and build. And what I'm excited for is what we're going to have in 2 years, right? In 2 years from now, when the proliferation of competitive PC gaming, with Counter-Strike making a comeback, League of Legends, Dota, console side of things, where we're going to probably see a new Halo title. We know we're going to see it, but we'll see a new Halo title, another Call of Duty, other shooters coming to the console. The conversation at a developer point, at a publisher point, involves esports for the first time ever, right? So we've fought for this for years, some of us a decade more, right? But to be able to sit down and say, when you're crafting out your plan, competitive gaming, esports is part of that, and you have a roadmap which spans many years, that is an advantage, and a game with a yearly release cycle has helped influence that. So while it's not ideal, it's been part of the momentum creation at the broader business side, so it's good.
You mentioned earlier that console is becoming a more and more important part of your audience. Can you tell us about the streaming numbers and how that is?
Yeah, so it's no secret, we started with console and we've added PC, and now we're back very strong on console again. It's interesting because our Xbox app, which we just launched this week, our viewing app, we have more in the works on competition and broadcast, but for the viewing app, we immediately saw this engagement of people downloading and watching for an hour, right? And the numbers are strong with no promotion because we're waiting to figure out exactly what we're doing with it. But the first day I think we had 20,000 people try it, and that's not just who downloaded, but actually tried it, right? And they were watching for an hour, and so that's fantastic because it's what they call over the top, right? So it's that over the top television experience where, oh look, it's digital content delivered to my TV so I can lean back. And And it's encouraging because the app is bare bones viewing only for esports, for competitive gaming, and for personalities within competitive gaming. So, you know, Xbox 360 being first, Xbox One being next, PlayStation 3, 4, and Vita following after that. Our mobile apps are ready for certification. So the distribution picture across all of these connected devices is incredibly important to us because we're leaving opportunity unrealized if we don't focus on it. The great news, especially with the Microsoft partnership, is they're partners in it, right? So they helped us develop the app. They helped us get the app out on time for this Call of Duty Championships. They're going to promote the app. We're going to put unique content into that app. We're going to work with their third-party publishing partners to create channels within that app that showcase upcoming content. So for me, it's exciting because I get to play with a new distribution platform that somebody else has to worry about the logistics of how it gets in front of people, right? I mean, I'll just continue to say, hey, go download it up. You know, there it is. Here's a new show. Here's a new game that we're showcasing. But Microsoft has a vested interest in promoting it as well. So I'm excited. And I think, you know, we've taken a walk before you run approach with it. But so far, you know, this morning we were looking, I think when we first spun up, there were 50, 60,000 people watching. You know, this event started at 9 a.m. on a Friday. Well, a good third of them were mobile, were viewed via the app when I checked. I don't know if that's held because honestly I'm having conversations like this, but that's a great thing for us. Like that, we did not have that 2 weeks ago, right? And so it's another area for us to get growth, another area for us to have a partner in Microsoft who's looking at that and saying, what other content can you put in there? So I'm excited to look at that.
Okay, last question I think. Major League Gaming is now the ESPN of gaming with a streaming platform. Is there ever going to be a point where Major League Gaming will be major gaming?
Major gaming.
And not league?
You take the league out? So the league component to it, you know, our name, our heritage and everything is about competition, right? And so the event side of things, you know, whether it's a circuit, is it a league, all these things. Our ability to run leagues in an online environment is far greater than it's ever been. I mean, our competition platform runs over 1 million matches a month. There's, I think, 9.5 million registered players on that platform. We give away a lot of money. It's a huge consumer revenue growth engine for us. It feeds our pro circuit events and events like this. So it's not that there would be no league in MLG, it would be that league evolves, right? Physical events are fantastic and we all love them. We love LANs, we love getting together. But we can't have one every weekend, right? We can't be out here all the time running these events. So as we evolve and shift and the tools are becoming more readily available to us to run these events online, we're going to do more of it. As we start to get baked into games earlier, as our API and tech layer is you know, kind of opened up and we're able to do this stuff in an automated fashion, scale, right? The magic word, can this scale? Yeah, then you can. But you know, we talk about it a lot, like how many events are the right amount? How many times a year do we need to do this? What we're going to do is we're going to have our events, which we own and operate, and our partner events. And we're going to find a sweet spot there where we can help support some other folks in the space who are operating events, maybe give them some financial support, some access to some tools and resources that they don't have to be able to have more of this go on, even if it's not an MLG branded event, right? It can be a brought to you by thing where we come in there and help them out. Because it's really important from my point of view that live community interaction is something that without that, a lot of the soul of this goes away. Online's great for a lot of things, but you have to do this. You have to look someone in the eye and okay, you know, and play and win and lose and see how you react and go and hang out afterwards and maybe get a drink if you're old enough. That's a really important part of the social experience, and that's what's important to me. So that's not going away anytime soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.